Every morning, millions of people wake up next to a stranger. They look in a mirror and see familiar features, but behind the eyes, someone else's home. They said things they don't remember. They made promises they can't keep. They laughed, cried, fought, confessed, all performed by a version of themselves that vanishes with the hangover. We call it being drunk. We say, that wasn't me. We apologize, forgive, forget, and repeat. But what if the stranger is not a visitor? What if, over time, the stranger becomes the resident? I am Napoleon Inspires, and today, we investigate the most terrifying transformation of all. Not the loss of memory, not the loss of time, but the loss of self. Part 1. The guest who never leaves. You have a name, a history, a set of values, preferences, dreams, and fears. This collection is not just data. It is a coherent identity, a you that persists through time, making choices, learning from consequences, growing. Intoxication creates a temporary fork in your identity. The drunk you is not the same as the sober you. It has different inhibitions, different emotional priorities, different impulse control, different access to memory. For years, we have been told that the drunk you is the real you, that alcohol simply removes a mask, revealing your true, unfiltered self. This is a catastrophic lie. The drunk you is not more authentic. It is less complex. It is a simplified, reduced resolution version of your consciousness, running on a limited set of emotional algorithms: pleasure, aggression, sentimentality, fear. Imagine a symphony orchestra. Sober, all the instruments play together: strings, woodwinds, brass, percussion, creating a rich, layered, dynamic piece of music. Intoxication mutes half the instruments, leaving only the drums and a single trumpet. Loud, repetitive, predictable. That is not your true self unleashed. That is your self impoverished. Part 2. The neurological forking. Why does this happen? Because consciousness is not a single, unified thing. It is an emergent property of billions of neurons firing in complex, synchronized patterns. Your sober brain operates in a state of balanced, widespread activation. Different regions communicate. The prefrontal cortex, judgment, morality, planning, talks to the limbic system, emotion, memory, and the motor cortex, action. Decisions are weighed. Consequences are considered. Alcohol selectively suppresses the prefrontal cortex. This is the brain's executive branch. Its CEO, its adult in the room. With the CEO silenced, the limbic system, the ancient, emotional, reactive core of the brain, takes command. Decisions are no longer weighed. They are felt. Impulse is no longer filtered. It is executed. The result is not a different person. It is the same person operating with a critical part of their brain disabled. It is like flying a plane with the navigation system turned off. You are still the pilot, but you are flying blind, reacting to every gust of wind, every flashing light, without the ability to see the horizon or plan the landing. Part 3. The simulacrum deepens. We have discussed the concept of the simulacrum, the low-resolution copy that runs the show when the soul logs out. But here is the progression that should terrify you. The first time you drink, the simulacrum is a temporary visitor. It arrives with the buzz, performs its simplified routines, and leaves with the hangover. You wake up, perhaps embarrassed, but essentially yourself. The 10th time, the simulacrum is a familiar guest. Its patterns are becoming predictable. Your friends know what to expect. You know what to expect. The boundary between you and the stranger begins to blur. The 100th time, the simulacrum is a roommate. It has its own habits, its own emotional triggers, its own voice. You find yourself anticipating its arrival, even preparing for it. Tonight, I'll be fun. Tonight, I'll be sad. Tonight, I'll be angry. The 1000th time, the simulacrum is no longer a visitor. It is a co-occupant. It has established neural pathways so strong, so well-traveled, that they fire at the slightest provocation. A stressful day at work, a social gathering, a quiet evening alone. The brain reaches for the familiar pattern, the simplified self. You no longer need to drink to access the simulacrum. The neural pathways are so deep that the anticipation of drinking triggers the same patterns. You begin to act like drunk you while completely sober. The identity theft is complete. The stranger has moved in, and you are the one sleeping on the couch. Part 4. The 5 Faces of the Simulacrum. The simulacrum is not one personality. It is a family of simplified selves, each triggered by context and expectation. The sentimentalist. This simulacrum cries at commercials, professes undying love to strangers, and texts ex-partners at 2 a.m. It confuses emotional volume with emotional depth. It believes that feeling everything strongly is the same as feeling anything truly. The aggressor. This simulacrum seeks conflict. It nurses old grievances, escalates minor disagreements, and confuses volume with conviction. It believes that anger is the same as strength. The clown. This simulacrum performs. It tells the same 3 stories, laughs at its own jokes, and fills every silence with noise. It believes that entertainment is the same as connection. The martyr. This simulacrum drowns in self-pity. It rehearses every disappointment, magnifies every slight, and demands sympathy. It believes that suffering is the same as depth. The void. This is the most dangerous simulacrum. It feels nothing. It wants nothing. It stares at walls, scrolls through phones, and waits for the next drink. It believes that numbness is the same as peace. You may recognize one. You may recognize fragments of several. The tragedy is not that these faces exist. The tragedy is that, over time, you may forget that they are masks. Part 5. The erosion of authenticity. Here is the quiet devastation. As the simulacrum's pathways strengthen, the authentic self's pathways atrophy. Neurons that fire together wire together. Neurons that do not fire together wither. The brain is a use it or lose it organ. Every time you choose the simplified emotional algorithm of the simulacrum, you're casting a vote against the complex, nuanced, authentic response. You stop knowing what you actually feel. You stop knowing what you actually want. You stop knowing what you actually believe. Because the simulacrum has been answering those questions for years. You are not finding yourself. You're losing the trail that leads back to yourself. The path is overgrown with the neural weeds of repetition. Part 6. The Shame Cycle. The simulacrum does not only steal your identity. It poisons your memory of yourself. You wake up. You hear what you did. You feel a wave of shame. Not just for the actions, but for the gap between who you are and who you became. You promise yourself, never again. But here is the cruel loop. The shame itself becomes a trigger. The weight of accumulated regret feels unbearable. And the only tool you have learned to manage unbearable feelings is the same tool that created them. You drink to escape the shame of having drunk. The simulacrum returns. It performs its simplified routines. More shame accumulates. The cycle deepens. And at the center of the cycle, the authentic self grows quieter. Not because it has been defeated, but because it has been outnumbered. The voice of the simulacrum, amplified by repetition, by social expectation, by the very chemistry of your brain, has become the loudest voice in the room. You're not bad. You're not weak. You are outvoted in your own parliament. Part 7. The Reclamation Protocol. The identity can be reclaimed. The stranger can be evicted, but it requires more than abstinence. It requires a campaign of reoccupation. Step 1. The witness practice. For 30 days, you will not drink. But more importantly, you will not judge your drinking self. You will simply observe. When a craving arises, you will note it. The simulacrum is requesting access. You will not fight it. You will not feed it. You will simply witness it as a passing weather pattern, not a command. Step 2. The authenticity log. Each day, write down one moment when you felt genuinely, unmistakably yourself. Not performing, not numbing, not reacting. Simply present, authentic, aligned. A laugh that came from nowhere. A moment of stillness. A decision that felt right. You are building an evidence file for the existence of your true self. Step 3. The eulogy for the simulacrum. Write a letter to the stranger who has been living in your body. Thank it for trying to protect you. Thank it for stepping in when you could not cope. Then, politely, firmly evict it. Your services are no longer needed. I'm home now. You are dismissed. Step 4. The rehearsal of discomfort. The simulacrum was hired to manage discomfort. Fire it by learning to sit with discomfort without anesthesia. When anxiety rises, do not reach for the familiar escape. Breathe. Feel it. Let it move through you like a wave. You're teaching your nervous system that discomfort is not an emergency. It is just a sensation. Step 5. The identity declaration. Write a 50-word declaration of who you are when you are most yourself. Not who you wish to be, who you have been in your best moments. Read it aloud every morning. I am patient. I am curious. I am kind without performance. I am strong without aggression. I am present without effort. You're not manifesting. You are remembering. Step 6. The integration ritual. The simulacrum's patterns are not enemies. They are misplaced energies. The sentimentalist's emotional depth, properly channeled, becomes genuine empathy. The aggressor's fire becomes protective strength. The clown's joy becomes authentic play. The martyr's sensitivity becomes compassion. The void's stillness becomes peace. In meditation, invite each face of the simulacrum to sit before you. Thank it. Then ask, what gift are you guarding? How can I integrate you into my sovereign self? Step 7. The long return. Reclaiming identity is not an event. It is a gradual re-inhabitation. Like a house that has been empty for years, you must move back in slowly, room by room, dusting off the furniture, opening the windows, remembering why you love this place. Be patient. Be gentle. The stranger has lived here a long time. It will not leave without argument. But you're the owner. You hold the deed, and you are finally ready to come home. Part 8. The mirror clears. The mirror from the opening returns. No fog. No delay. The reflection is immediate, accurate, present. The person and the reflection smile together. A small, genuine, unperformed smile. The stranger is not evil. The stranger was a volunteer. It stepped in when you could not face the weight of your own existence. It performed, coped, survived. It deserves gratitude, not hatred. But it is time for the volunteer to rest. It is time for the sovereign to return. You are not the simplified algorithm. You are not the loudest emotion. You are not the performing clown, or the weeping martyr, or the angry aggressor, or the hollow void. You are the one who witnesses all of them. The steady, silent, infinite awareness behind every mask. That awareness has never left. It has simply been waiting for you to stop performing long enough to notice. The performance is over. This is Napoleon Inspires. Welcome home.